All right, welcome back everybody to another weekly training vlog wrap up. This week is, or was I should say, the washout or deload or low stress week, whatever verbiage you want to use for it. What'll happen next is more what I'm excited about. Next week, next block, we get back into the nitty gritty, the good stuff, some heavy stuff, I'm hoping, because last block we built some tolerance. The knee is good, it is healthy. We worked up to a point where towards the end of the block, my knee was starting to give me just the littlest bit of grief, and it was a comfortable amount of discomfort, if that makes any sense. Once you've worked through a few injuries, you get a general idea of the fact that you kind of have to push into a little bit of discomfort. You have to use the joint for it to get better. And as long as it's not getting worse from that use, and in order to tell whether or not it's getting worse, sometimes you have to take a little bit of time with it. You have to be a little reactive. You might need to limit what you're doing on the day and then monitor and see, okay, do I feel worse the next day, right? It's not always immediately apparent. I've had a lot of sessions with my knee where it feels amazing in the day, and then the next day it's way worse. So you have to have an idea of how things are reacting in order to sort of follow that trend of pushing into a slight discomfort. But I also think that it is important to get comfortable with a bit of discomfort. It is, necessary for us to kind of challenge the joint in order to bring it back to its full capacity. And I say joint, but it could refer to whatever sort of problem issue you're having. We get a lot of questions about injuries and coming back from injuries and how to deal with them and a lot of that kind of stuff. So I thought that was maybe relevant to touch on. But this week I only did 3 training days. So, another sometimes useful thing to do is when you have those low stress weeks, deloads, whatever, that I find is usually a good time to kind of let your priorities shift just a little bit, right? Take some extra time, do a little bit of extra work, catch up on some stuff around the house, make time for your partner, your friends, whatever, and restore some balance to the force, as it were, especially if you have some long-term goals that are going to require you to be, I think, selfish. There is a degree of selfishness that's required as an athlete. You have to be conscious of recovery and going to bed on time and getting your nutrition in. And that means sometimes you can't participate or take part in things or stay up late and socialize or whatever. You have to make some of those sacrifices sometimes. And I think it's important also to note that those aren't just sacrifices for you, right? If you have people in your life who love you, who want to see you and spend time with you and have your attention, it can be a sacrifice on their behalf too. So anyways, I guess that's another thing that's worth talking about when it comes to the deload and the washout. For anybody interested, we are still doing our, I don't know, you want to call it a promotion? It's not really a promotion. The thing that we do with the videos, where if you use the word of the day, and that'll be sprinkled throughout this video somewhere, in a comment below, and you ask us a good question, well, your question just might be chosen. And if your question is chosen as the question of the day in the following week's video, then you're going to be the proud recipient of a gift card worth the value of 1 Calgary Barbell t-shirt. So, which we just launched more of today. This shirt here actually is for sale now. Boom, chromed out logo. Go to calgarybarbell.shop if you're interested. You can pick up the new apparel. If there's any left.
All right, so today's question of the day comes from Alex Wichlax 7591.
I could listen to you pronounce people's last names all day, Dylan.
Well, this isn't even a last name. This might just be like a username. But
true. That'd be even better if it was usernames, because it could be anything.
They ask, in amongst a maelstrom of online information, what are the limits to a later-to-life powerlifter? I only discovered I enjoyed lifting heavy circles at 30, now about to turn 33, and if I need to consider anything a younger lifter might not.
So my first reaction was, bro, you're 33. You are not a later in life lifter. I'm 36. I just turned 36 a couple weeks ago, and I'm still doing the thing. So my first piece of advice, as somebody who I guess thinks you're old at 30, which, please, you're good. You're in your prime. Anyways, would be to not limit yourself before you start, right? I think in a lot of cases, people will place limitations on themselves of what they think they may be capable of down the road. And I think you'd be surprised sometimes if you intentionally remove those limitations that you're imposing on yourself and allow yourself to just find your potential. That was one thing, especially early on in my career, I really, really avoided, was thinking about what's possible and what's not. It was always, well, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep building. I'm going to keep doing more and getting better. So that's maybe part one of the answer. Part two of the answer is, I think that the sort of considerations that you're thinking about, like maybe the fact that you would need a little bit more recovery, or you'd be able to handle a little less volume or intensity, I think a lot of those things are going to be more tied to your training age as opposed to your biological, your body age. Now, I think when your training age is where mine is and where Dylan's is, and you've been doing this and pushing hard and training hard for 10 years, then yeah, maybe there are some considerations in terms of needing more rest and recovery, whatever. But the flip side to that is, regardless of how long your training age is or how old you are, it all comes back to more individual factors than anything. More individual tendencies towards being able to recover from volume, being able to recover from more or less frequency, intensity, whatever. That is going to be tied way more to the individual than any sort of sweeping generalization. I've had clients who were Masters 3 lifters, meaning they were in their 60s, I believe. Yeah, 60s. And the guy I'm thinking of, his name's Ben. Shout out to Ben if you're watching, man. Hope you're doing well. He tolerated more volume than I did, Like, I had him training 3 days a week, but he'd go in and push like a heavy 4x4 or 3x4. And that was at a time when I was maybe working up to like a top set. So I think at the end of the day, it's more about finding your own specific needs as an individual lifter, as opposed to saying like, okay, I'm part of this demographic, therefore I must need these things. And this is where self-monitoring, paying attention to the sort of signals your body is sending, and all those kinds of things come in handy. A training journal, if you're not logging your training, absolutely, please, for the love of God, log your training in some way, shape, or form. Preferably, you could use something phenomenal like the Calgary Barbell app. The way I got into getting jacked and strong is very simple. I went on the internet in 1977, before smartphones were even invented, to ask the smartest and strongest people in the world how to get huge. And there, after dinner, someone on the CBB Discord mentioned the Calgary Barbell training app. I looked around and I started the free 7-day trial. I was impressed because there was a program and another program and another program and some other programs, and I decided I wanted the program. Bryce welcomed me in the Discord and asked if I wanted the program, and I said, oh, I don't know what program. And the coaches and the community helped me find the one that would fit perfectly for me. So I tried it, but the rest is history. I'm still using the CBB training app. I love it, and the internet introduced me to something really good. Now, I know you might be wondering, what do I think of the app now? Why do I continue to use it? Well, I found it on the internet, and the internet never makes a mistake, therefore, it's okay. I use the app because I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone. I use this app anywhere I want, and I don't have to use a stupid PDF like you. However, if you're not going to use the phenomenal Calgary Barbell app that's going to be on sale this weekend, then just log your training, log your weights and your reps and all that stuff, yes. But what I'm specifically talking about is logging your readiness to train. How sore are you? How stiff are you? How motivated are you to train? How good was your sleep? Pay attention to those kind of things, because as trends and in the long term, they can tell you a lot about how your training is working for you, whether or not your training is too much or too little. So pay attention to that stuff, and I hope that answers your question. Well, we don't really have anything too exigent left to get to. So just want to thank everybody for coming along with us. Road to Nationals, or Westerns at least. No, Westerns, Worlds,
I mean, it's
whatever.
It's RTW'24. So,
Okay, Road to Worlds
yeah.
continues next week, and training resumes. We're gonna go hard, we're gonna go heavy, and we're gonna actually get a little bit of weight on the bar by the end of next block, which is exciting, very exciting to me. So we'll see you in the next one, and bye-bye.